going down, fight fans? This is Spaniard, Northwest Fight Scene. I'm sitting here in Bend. I'm talking with the man, the one and only outlaw, JT Taylor, home of the Desert Dog Fight Team. We're here at the Desert Dog Fight Team Dog Pound, where the dogs train, where the dogs get down. This is the man that trains them. This is the one. This is the ruthless JT Taylor.
Ruthless, huh?
Ruthless. I say ruthless. The dogs, what are your guys' motto?
Kill them fast.
Kill them fast. Hey, we got a super bad fight coming to you guys real soon in September, and it's the Desert Brawl 39. JT is taking on Eric Victor. JT, the fight is really talked about. Everybody's talking about you guys and what's going down. How did all this talk and this fight get so hyped? Really, what's going on?
It really started when one of my students said that there was this guy that comes to his gym and said that, you know, he wants to fight me, and I was just really bored, and I heard it one too many times. I was like, okay, you know, and then I started hearing all this drama that he was talking, all this shit that he was talking about my teacher Marcelo, how he wasn't real, you know, and how he just, you know, was a fake. And so I was like, wait a minute, so this guy lives in Bend, he's talking all this shit about everyone I love, and he's challenging me. I'm like, all right, can't think of one reason why not to beat you up. So it's kind of how it started.
Now, you've got to be used to guys coming to you all the time. I mean, you're obviously used to this, but it kind of set more at home because it was your teacher, someone dear to your heart.
Yeah. I mean, when somebody attacks, you know, in jiu-jitsu, you know, your teacher is pretty much just like your dad, and you know, the people that you train with are pretty much like your brothers. You know, you spend a lot of time with them, you train with them, you bleed with them. You know, when somebody verbally attacks them or physically attacks them, you know, it makes you emotional. And so, you know, when he started running in his mouth about my teacher, I was like, dude, all right, now I'm gonna really smash you.
Now, what do you know about Eric Victor as a fighter or as an opponent?
You know, really, he's from California. You know, as far as I know, he's just a fake, you know, self-blown up guy who rolled into California a couple of years ago to Bend thinking, you know, people are dumb and there's a small hick town and nobody knows the difference. Well, I don't know if he knew this, but, you know, this might be a small hick town, but we ain't done. You know, and people know their shit here. And, you know, Eric Victor just picked on the wrong guy. I ain't fake, so.
Now, and not really knowing too much about how he fights, that doesn't really bother you too much. You're not really a tape guy. You really don't matter. You're just going to go in there with the same game plan and just get him.
Yeah, I mean, I've really never been a tape guy. I don't spend 20 minutes looking at any opponent I've ever fought, to be honest. With the exception of maybe Shoney Carter, because I was playing him on the video game, you know, I was like, I thought that was pretty cool. So I guess that's studying. But, you know, to be honest, they all, you know, everybody breaks the same, everybody's joints separate the same, everybody gets choked out the same. So, you know, I've had more wars than this guy's ever had, and I feel like I'm ready for anything that comes my way.
Now, you're also a promoter. What's that like being a promoter and a fighter and being the main event in your own show, and plus having all of this hometown drama on your shoulders? What is all that like?
You know, it's like everyday life. Yeah, you know, I can't think of a day when all this shit hasn't been happening, to be honest, in my life. You know, it's just because it's happening here to me doesn't mean it hasn't happened 100 other times in my life. You know, this guy's gonna have to get used to everywhere he goes, somebody asking him if he's ready to fight me. You know, I really don't care. It doesn't. I'm used to it. You know, like the pressure, the drama. I'm deaf half the time. I can't hear it anyway, so I really don't give a shit.
So you kind of used to it.
Yeah, I go through life with blinders on. You know what I mean? Like,
now, you're one of the originals from this. How do you see the sport of MMA? How do you see it kind of as your baby? What do you see it as doing, kind of as the dad really around here? How do you feel the sport progressing?
That's a loaded question. Well, you know, I think that it's progressed it's progressed a lot. I mean, I think it progresses every day and kind of changes into a different animal every year, you know, as the sport gets better. It's like, you know, MMA was a wheel that was invented 15 years ago. And you know what a wheel was like when it first was invented? It was square. It was made out of rocks. And now what does it look like? It's round, made from China, and you know, goes a million miles an hour. So that's the nature of MMA. It grows and gets better every year. The fighters get better. They get, you know, the more talent gets involved, the more money gets involved through sponsorships, and you know, and it attracts athletes, it attracts sponsors, it attracts people, fans.
Well, now talking about that getting better every year, how do you think Eric Victor will be able to handle the progression, being since he's been off for so long, and now he's going to take a cage fight after so much time and so much sport?
How do I think he's going to handle it? I think he's going to handle it very poorly, because I'm going to beat him in. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on him.
Well, on that note, anything you would like to say to Eric Victor or anybody else watching for the fight coming up in September? So, on that note, anything else that you would like to say to Eric Victor or any of the fans out there?
Yeah, this is my town.
Any other shout-out sponsors? Anybody you'd like to?
Yeah. You know, I got the whole town full. You know, this is this douchebag from California rolling in here, this self-blown up guy who hasn't fought in 10 years, thinking he's going to roll into this town and beat me up. You know, this ain't going to happen. Not if I have anything to do with it. You know, I would like to thank all of my Desert Dogs for helping me get ready. My girlfriend, Crystal Sutphen, for putting up with my shit, you know, and dealing with my fight mode, and, you know, like cutting weight, you know, dealing with all this stupid drama bullshit. And I just would like to say thanks to the city of Bend, you know, who supports me, you know, and all this craziness. So, you know, would like to thank Northwest Fight Scene and Steve Roberts.
Well, you heard it here. JT Taylor, Spaniard, NW Fight Scene. Make sure you guys get down. Check out Desert Brawl coming up here in Bend at the Century Center. Thank you.